Rossoneri, this is AC Milan Talk. Welcome to a new weekly episode with all the going song of our favorite team. Here with me today, as always, Adriano Del Monte and Sheridan Byrne. Welcome, guys.
Ciao, Lecce. Ciao, Sheridan.
Bonjour, everybody. Very happy to be here.
Bonjour.
Very well done.
It's the right beginning, the right hello for today. A very busy week, so we have a lot to talk about. Let's start from our men's first team. A vintage AC Milan performance was needed, and a vintage AC Milan performance we got at San Siro against Paris Saint-Germain. Adriano, a little comment about last night.
Well, a little comment, a big comment, because it was so special. Lecce, we talk about Champions League nights at San Siro. We talk about the impact of that crowd, that atmosphere, and yes, this team rewrote another chapter in their famous history in this competition, of course, and they did it the hard way, Sheridan, because this Skriniar goal early on dampened the spirits a little. The build-up, the pre-match was amazing, but then the response, it was enough to get you out of your seat.
It was brilliant. It's the Milan that we want. We want this Milan every week because we're greedy in the positive sense. This was a European performance that will be remembered. Maybe it's this generation's European performance to remember. Hopefully there'll be many more, but that agility and acrobatic spirit from Rafa Leao, then this towering header by Olivier Giroud, just smashing Milan Skriniar out of the way. It was the kind of a performance that will be talked about for many, many years. And the players, all of them, the subs were amazing. Theo, who had a really great game, played within himself, didn't attack too much, played intelligently with that free kick. Okafor came on and nearly scored, nearly squeezed it round the corner, Adriano, didn't he?
Good save there by Donnarumma, but there were chances, and this was the promising thing. Obviously, there have been a couple of games where the team have struggled for goals. Obviously, Serie A a few days prior at the weekend, no goals in that match, but it was their willingness to continue to attack. The two goals, though, amazing.
Yeah.
Which was your pick, because both were brilliant.
I think my pick was probably Olivier Giroud's, because the way he made Milan Skriniar look like a small, normal guy, and Skriniar's a big physical presence, like yourself, Adriano. He's
Absolutely.
a tough guy. And Giroud just sort of said, get out of my way, I'm going to score the goal. And it was just fabulous.
Unbelievable, and very special, as I said, Lecce. Again, the atmosphere that I touched on, being there pitch side and taking in that atmosphere, I did feel that in the lead up to the match that there was something special that was going to happen. It felt a little different to some of the matches in recent weeks, not only in the Champions League, also in Serie A. It felt that there was, obviously, it was a must-win match for the team. We knew the situation coming in terms of the points, no goals scored in the group. And I think the team played a little freer, a little more calmly, nothing to lose, and they left it all out there, and that's Milan at their best, and I'm sure that gives us a lot of optimism for what's to come.
And do you remember what I told you before the match? I had a vibe.
I do, yes, share.
I had a feeling that Rafa Leao would have a really good performance.
And I had a vibe, and we can prove this because we exchanged these messages. I had a vibe that Milan would win, because I said there was this feeling there in the stadium that something special was brewing. Milan, Champions League, match made in heaven.
And the other sign of a great performance is that it's hard to pick out one player, because you can say Rafa Leao was fantastic, and he was, but also Tijani Reinders in midfield was energy.
Everyone played their part. This was the thing.
And Rubes, as we call him, Ruben Loftus-Cheek was just galloping through midfield. Impossible to knock off the ball.
We could talk for days, yeah.
Theo Hernandez played intelligently. He didn't bomb on in attack. Tomori, brilliant. Malik Chow, Davide Calabria. We could go through the whole, if you include the substitutes, we could go through all 16.
And Mr.
But
Pioli.
we won't go through all 16.
And Mr. Pioli, everyone did their
And the
bit.
boss.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're already seeing the updated table of Group F. We are in the third place, so everything could happen. Anything is possible. But as you resumed with the highlights of AC Milan versus Paris Saint-Germain on the night that maybe was the most important so far, our Rossoneri did their best. Also, our head coach after the match commented on his Lecce performance, so let's listen together to Stefano Pioli interview.
Credo che sia stato molto importante il parlare tra di loro, il fermarsi nello spogliatoio per essere consapevoli che che non siamo quelli di sabato scorso e che c'era una grande occasione per dimostrarlo, soprattutto dal punto di vista mentale. Poi le partite, il calcio si può perdere, si può vincere, ma come l'abbiamo interpretata, come l'hanno interpretato i ragazzi a livello mentale, di determinazione, di sofferenza, di spirito, di anima, è stato qualcosa di eccezionale, ma li conosco bene e so che avrebbero reagito con gli atteggiamenti necessari.
What about the next matches? Because Borussia Dortmund will visit us at San Siro, and then the away match against Newcastle. The two opponents against which we obtained 2 goalless draws. About the difficulties?
Of course, this is the group of death. We knew this coming in, that every match is difficult. Of course, match day 5 at home to Dortmund, match day 6 will be the trip to Newcastle. The mathematics, though, Sheridan, my specialty. I told you last week, last time out, this good result would ensure this. Fate is in our own hands now. We are now in a position where Milan beat Dortmund on match day 5, go ahead of Borussia Dortmund, meaning qualification will come down to a good result at Newcastle. So there will be challenges, but this is a Dortmund team, if we're looking ahead a couple of weeks, that did lose 4-0 to Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga last weekend. They did respond well against the Newcastle team with a number of players missing. I'm very confident given what we saw, and as Mr. Pioli said there, he was not surprised by the reaction because that belief has been maintained in the squad. And I interviewed a couple of the players post-match. Ruben was one, and obviously he's spent some time out, but he said that belief, the core belief between the group, has been maintained despite the indifferent performances of late. So they're confident, and now if 6 points will guarantee qualification, which is very exciting given where the team were a few weeks ago.
6 points is the dream, and Dortmund coming to San Siro, it won't be easy for Dortmund, as demonstrated by the Milan fans against PSG. You can make the San Siro a really intimidating, it's easy for me to say, intimidating, tough place to visit. And Dortmund, their own stadium is impressive, and
Absolutely.
it really it can kind of put you on a back foot. But now it's their turn to feel the other side of that, and I'm sure the San Siro fans will make it a really tough night for Dortmund. So 6 points is the dream, and I believe it's possible.
And obviously 6 points is the dream, but if we look ahead, a win against Dortmund will ensure that Milan go 1 point clear of Dortmund with a better head-to-head. Essentially what that means is going into the final match day, Dortmund will effectively need to beat Paris Saint-Germain at home, and for Milan would then have to lose to Newcastle. So again, that result against Paris Saint-Germain, do not underestimate how important all 3 points were. People were talking about a result will be good to take a step forward, but that was an impressive display. And this team now should be bold and should be confident of taking maximum points on match day 5 and really putting themselves in a strong position.
Focusing in particular on the magic atmosphere on that night at San Siro, we have the 2 post-match reactions from 2 other protagonists among our rossoneri, Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Yunus Musa.
Honestly, it's hard to describe. It's incredible when you walk out and the Champions League song is playing and the whole stadium just shouts the champ. It's brilliant, and that gets you going. And in a game where it's a must-win, the crowd played a crucial part tonight. So.
Io ero sorpreso quanto rumoroso era e ho iniziato a sorridere perché ovviamente per noi è bello e per il PSG Saint-Germain dovrebbe essere molto incomodo, no? Quindi quello ci ha aiutato tanto questa sera. Anche se abbiamo preso il gol, sapevamo che eravamo nella partita perché stavamo creando occasioni, stavamo facendo bene e non abbiamo lasciato questo colpo schiacciarci, no? Abbiamo pensato ancora che sì, dovevamo continuare così, non si può mollare mai e quello che abbiamo fatto.
They need very well that they need to continue on this winning way.
No doubt. And as Sheridan said, when Milan went to Dortmund, the atmosphere there was very difficult. It's about recreating that at San Siro on match day 5. I love hearing the players, and I spoke to both those players after the match as well for my broadcaster. I love listening to those players talk about feeding off the energy of the atmosphere because it proves it's very real and it is influential. And again, just to reiterate, the sound inside the stadium, especially in the pre-game, there was something different about that stadium. And there always is on Champions League nights.
Yeah, I mean, in many football cultures, particularly South America, they say the fans are the 12th man. But I think the San Siro was the 12th, 13th, 14th,
Well put.
15th man, because it gives them such a boost. And it reminds us of the old days, and not that long ago, by the way, Ancelotti, Sacchi, but more in my mind, the Carlo Ancelotti Champions League days, when it was just, it was something extra. And many great teams came to San Siro, and they fell at San Siro because the players, but also the frenzied atmosphere, was too much for them.
Well, you look at the Paris Saint-Germain players as well. Obviously, a lot of these teams, especially Paris Saint-Germain, with a player like Kylian Mbappe, world-class players, top footballers, every time they come to this stadium, I love watching the visiting players in the pre-match, because they come in and they soak in the atmosphere and just they enjoy the experience as well. And it was really nice to actually watch Mbappe in the warm-ups with Paris Saint-Germain, just looking into the crowd and with a smile on his face and enjoying it. But conversely, it's very tough for them to play, and that's why we see Milan consistently perform at that level in this competition, and that's why I have a lot of confidence now going into the Dortmund match on match day 5.
But after Champions League, it's already time for a new challenge also for Serie A after the defeat against Udinese on Saturday night against Roberto D'Aversa's Lecce. Not an easy fixture.
No, I mean, the thing about Lecce is they're in, at time of recording, they're in 13th place, I think, in Serie A. But that's a slightly false position because they built that up with a very good start. I think they won 3 matches in the first 5 rounds of Serie A.
Very good early.
Very good early, but since then they've struggled, and they gave Roma a scare, AS Roma, in their most recent match in the league. But I think Lecce are a team that are perhaps starting they're beginning what is quite a difficult phase. So Milan should win on paper. Now, obviously, we know they play on grass, not on paper, Adriano. So you can't guarantee it. But Lecce's position, it's a bit more precarious than the table would tell us. And Milan, I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Pioli rests a few players because they gave absolutely everything against PSG. So there might be some turnover, some rotation. But I do believe Milan have got enough to beat Lecce. But we don't always... results don't always correspond to what you can expect, which is what happened against Udinese, Adriano, isn't it?
I was there at the Udinese match. You saw some of the warm-ups there, and what you could see there was the rain. It was extremely heavy rain, and actually off the back of that match, I was a little concerned going into the PSG clash that with only 72 hours to recover, they were tough conditions. There was a goal, it went to Udinese, Pereira there with the penalty. That was the lone goal of the night. And look, obviously it was a disappointing performance. It was Udinese's first win in the league this season, so not the perfect preparation for the Champions League, but the team certainly responded. This weekend, I think this is as important as the Champions League midweek, and the reason why is because this is obviously the final match day before the next international break. I think the team need to finish off on a positive note, and this is a Lecce team that, yes, started the season well. They're now winless in 7, but Lecce team that Milan did draw at 2-2 last season. They went behind 2 goals early. It is a tough place to travel to down south.
And they were very good against AS Roma.
Very good, and it was 2 goals in stoppage time. Exactly. Roma required to come back and win, so they must be respected. But I think this is a great opportunity to take a lot of confidence into the international break. Couple of weeks off, come back firing to finish off the calendar year.
That's all for our men's first team. So let's move on to our women's team. For our women's, I would like to start with your comment, Sheridan. What happened against Fiorentina?
The team gave everything, but it was just one of those matches where nothing worked as we would have hoped. Let's put it that way. It was a late winner from the Viola, but it just... Milan's biggest problem, the Femminile, is they're not scoring enough goals this season. The ladies have only scored 3 goals. And you don't have to be a mega tactician to realise that if you don't score goals, it's very hard to win matches outside tournaments where there's no extra time. It's very difficult to make an impression on a league championship if you can't find the net. This is the goal right at the end of the match. You can see the Milan players just were so close to what would have been a decent point away to the Tuscan side, but it's just not going at the moment for the Rossonere. and they need to find a way. The new players have to bed in. There have been some good signs from the new players, but it's about goals. It's a results business, and the way you get results is goals, and it's just not happening yet. But hopefully they can click soon in attack.
It will happen, don't worry. The opportunity to respond will come very soon, but of course, for me, the goals, but they have been very unlucky because in 2 or 3 matches this season, those late goals that they've conceded have been the difference between getting a very solid result. So, look, the performances have been there, just that consistency for 90 minutes needs to come. And we know, again, we spoke about it last season, but the change in format means Milan need to finish in the top 5 at the halfway point of the season to break off into the championship group, which ultimately then keeps hopes of qualifying for next season's Champions League alive. So still work to do, but an opportunity to respond against Sassuolo this weekend.
The second appointment in a particular intense November for Gance's team. The Rossonere, as Adriano has already said, hosts at Vismara Sassuolo. What we should expect from this match?
Well, the most important thing, and it might sound banal or obvious, is to win, because Milan mustn't get too far away from the Scudetto pool, which, for those who don't know, Adriano's explained it. It's the top half of the league that battle to eventually be champions and qualify for the Women's Champions League. The second part, the relegation pool, are those who battle to stay in the Women's Serie A. Now, Sassuolo are behind Milan in that second part of the table, but Milan have to start winning soon. And the best way to do that is to get points against those who are behind you, who are not quite doing as well as you are. You have to beat the teams below you and hope to beat some of the teams above you. The best way to start is literally get a win this weekend.
That's right, and to provide that opportunity, a team behind Milan in the standings, they must respond. And we saw some vision there of Mr. Ganz against Juventus in a previous match at home this season. It was another one of those narrow defeats very late on, but the positivity in the performance was there. If they can bring it and obviously convert, as you said, in attack, I think we'll see 3 points this weekend.
Like we say, ladies, score some goals. We know they've got the quality.
They'll come.
And we know they've got the creativity. Just put the ball in the back of the net. It's as simple as that, and we believe they can do it.
So good luck to our Rossonere for the next section. Now let's focus on our under-19s. I don't know how to describe this incredible team. Battistide gained another impressive result in the Youth League, so thanks to give us this great show also against Paris Saint-Germain.
So proud of this team. They have really developed so well under...
You've been looking forward to talking about this more than anything.
Yeah, in my private life as well. I just want to talk to people in the street about Mr. Barthez' wonderful young players, because to get that result against PSG after losing in the first match in the French capital 1-0, it was incredible. This is one of my favourite players. They're all my favourites, but this is Clinton Unciala. In my commentaries, I call him President Clinton because he's in charge. Look at this. He's a central defender, by the way, but he can make an effect in both penalty areas. It was brilliant. Milan raced into a 2-goal lead. Watch this, Lecce, Adriano. This will...
I've watched this over 100 times. Can you remind our fans how old this player is?
Off the top of my head, I can't because my maths is terrible, but I think he's 15 or 16.
15.
They're all young players, but he's one of the youngest in the group. I think he was born in 2004 or 5. Francesco Camarda was a spectacular...
I think it's 2007 for 15.
Okay, well, we'll
leave
the maths to another day, but he's very young and he's very good. However, the 2-0 lead was chipped away by PSG, and in the second half they made it 2-2, and it was hard to take. Very similar goals as well.
Yeah.
And at this point, you felt, well, okay, a 1-1 draw, a 2-2 draw will be acceptable. However, right at the end, this goal reminded me of Filippo Inzaghi. Watch this. That was a Predators goal. It was Diego Sia. The shot was from the captain for the day because Kevin Zeroli was suspended. The shot was from Malaspina. And watch this. Well, from that angle you can't see, but trust me, this is the best angle. That was a poacher's goal, and that reminded me of Pippo Inzaghi back in the day. And it was a late victory, and PSG were stunned. Milan just had a big party, and it was a wonderful week in European football for the senior team and for Mr. Barte's very impressive youngsters.
Absolutely amazing. And off the back of the run last season, that has to give this core group confidence that they're capable of doing that, to go ahead against the Paris Saint-Germain, a quality Paris Saint-Germain team. Obviously then see them level and then go on and win later on. Incredible performance, and you're right. When the Champions League, Youth League comes to town, when UEFA come to town, so do Milan, and plenty more of that hopefully to come.
Talking about the Primavera 1, the championship, after the not easy weekend against Empoli, now it's time to face Lecce, also for our under-19s. Remembering that Coppa Italia side is the current reigning champions for Primavera 1.
Yeah, it was the result at the weekend before the European match was frustrating, a bit like the men's first team. Now, my initial thought was that perhaps the youth team had their minds on Europe. And when it's the first team, you say professionals shouldn't do that. But because it's the youth team, they're still young, they're still learning, they're still learning about football. And I would forgive them for maybe just thinking more about what was going to happen in Europe. Here is the Milan in the white away kit. They didn't perform to their full ability. Some of the players were on the bench with the men's first team, by the way, because of defensive cover requirements. So it wasn't a vintage Primavera performance. But if you kind of spoke to some of the players and they said we were thinking a little bit about the PSG match, I would completely understand it, because they're young and they're learning the game and they're humans. And if you have something that's a bit more exciting, no disrespect to Empoli, I don't want emails from Empoli fans shouting at me, but no disrespect to the Tuscan side. The PSG match is probably just a little bit more evident in their mind. And
they're a good team as well. That Empoli team
they
are
mustn't
a good
be
team.
sniffed at.
But it is hard. It's not easy. This is all part of the development, all part of the progress, and it's part of the learning experience. But these players, what they have proven, they are capable of beating everyone in Europe. So it's an exciting second half of the season to come for Abate's young men.
Well, guys, that's all for today. Thanks to Adriano Del Monte and thanks to Sheridan Bird.
Thank you, Licia.
Thank you very much.
See
Au
you.
revoir.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
See you not next week because it's an international break, but in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, I won't see you, but you'll be in my hearts next week.
As always.
Dear Rossoneri, thanks for following us. See you in the next episode of our AC Milan Talk. Ciao.